Brace yourselves, Texas fans. These next 48 hours could be rough. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's a bright one. I'll tell you what I mean on today's episode of Locked On Longhorns. Intro!
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are Locked On to the Texas Longhorns. I'm your host, BK Brad Kellner, Texas grad, Austin local, and longtime sports radio host here in the Lone Star State. Thank you for making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day every single day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as well. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and tell your Longhorn friends about Locked On, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. We've got some sound from Steve Sarkisian's recent interview with the Third and Longhorn podcast. We'll also talk about Tre Johnson getting drafted by the Wizards a little bit later in today's show. But first, a warning to Texas fans, and then a promise that everything is going to be okay. We'll start with the bad. 4 Texas targets are set to announce their commitments over the next 2 days. 4-star running back Xavier Crowell from Alabama will announce tonight. 4-star offensive tackle Malachi Lee, 4-star safety Chase Calaka, and 4-star defensive lineman Damari Simeon are all set to commit tomorrow. All 4 of those guys have Texas offers. All 4 of those guys are guys that Texas wants. But there is a very good chance that all 4 of those guys end up going somewhere else, which would make for a very frustrating 24 to 48 hours. And it could lead you to believe that the sky is falling on Texas for the class of 2026. Trust me when I tell you that it is not. And look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being overly pessimistic. Maybe the Longhorns do end up with at least 1 or even 2 of these players. And we'll break things down here for a moment. We talked a lot about Xavier Crowell yesterday. Most people view him as a heavy Alabama lean. Maybe Texas will be able to convince him to leave the state. After all, Kalen DeBoer only has 1 of the top 18 players in the state of Alabama currently committed to Alabama. We keep bringing up Justice Terry. Nobody expected him to leave Georgia last year. He left for Texas. Texas just landed Rodney Cleveland, the top-ranked defensive lineman from Alabama, last weekend. So, maybe it's possible that Texas ends up with Xavier Crowell tonight. Malachi Lee, the offensive tackle from Hawaii, feels like a Texas-Michigan battle. People I've talked to feel like it will end up being Michigan, but maybe it's not. Texas got an official visit. They're one of the finalists. Kyle Flood's the offensive line coach here. He's one of the best in America. He's developed a ton of guys into NFL draft picks. Texas has money. It could happen. You're in the final 2. You've got a shot to get it done. Chase Calaka, the safety, plays his high school ball at North Shore down in the Houston area. Mark Orfe, who's been recruiting him on the Texas staff, also played his high school ball at North Shore. Maybe the combination of that and wanting to stay closer to home is enough to get the 4-star safety to commit to Texas. Feels like Georgia's kind of the leader in the clubhouse right now. But again, Texas is right there. So it's not outlandish to think that Chase Calaka could pick the Longhorns. And then Damari Simeon, the 4th of the 4 names, he's visited Austin a couple of times. Maybe he wants to be a part of this ridiculously good defensive line class that Texas is putting together. The other schools that he's looking at are all Big Ten schools. Maybe he wants to come to the South and play in the SEC. Who knows? Like, what we're trying here, we're trying to come up with arguments in favor of these guys choosing Texas, and nothing is off the table. Again, you get official visits. You're one of the finalists. You've got a shot. But the main point here is we may need to brace ourselves for a jab, cross, hook, uppercut, 4-piece combo coming in these next couple of days where it could be bad news after bad news after bad news. That's how the game goes. You can't win them all. There's going to be stretches like this. Well, on the other hand, Texas will have some great stretches where it feels like everything is going the Longhorns' way and everybody is committing to UT. But hey, this game ain't easy, and it's not for the faint of hearts. And sometimes, there are rough patches, and there's a chance that these next couple of days could be a pretty rough patch for Texas. But I promise there's light at the end of the tunnel. The good news is, even after these 4 guys decide, there will still be 21 uncommitted prospects that Texas hosted on official visits this summer. There's more guys that are uncommitted out there, but you still have more than 20 who Texas had on campus over the last month and a half. Are the Horns going to scoop up all 21 of those guys? No, of course not. Are they going to end up with none of those guys? No, of course not. There are a number of 3, 4, and 5-star players that Texas is still very much in the mix for. Very much in the mix for. And right now, Steve Sarkisian and company have 15 players committed in the class of 2026. By the time we get to National Signing Day in December, technically the first National Signing Day, but it feels like 95% of these recruits are committing and signing in that early window. I think the number for Texas will be around 24, maybe 25, maybe 26, maybe even more than that, which means we'll have at least 9, 10, 11, 12 more boom tweets coming our way. Feels like that's what every recruiting person tweets out now when someone commits to their school. They need a little bit more originality in those. You can't all go with boom. That can be one guy's bid, or it can be one side's bid, but we need to mix it up with something different besides boom. Anyways, whatever you tweet, more of them are coming Texas's way. And the Longhorns are still going to end up with an incredible class in terms of quantity and in terms of quality. Now, will it end up being number 1? I don't know. I think it's a pretty safe bet that Sark's going to bring in another top 5 class at worst. And he's done that a bunch since taking over at Texas. So I have zero doubt that the Longhorns are going to end up with one of the very best recruiting classes in this cycle. The question is, can they go back-to-back as the top-ranked recruiting class in America? Who knows? And look, it's important to note that some of these guys who are committing to other schools right now, today, tomorrow, guys who have committed elsewhere in the past, guys who commit elsewhere over the next couple of weeks, it's important to remember that they can easily change their minds before we get to the month of December, especially if the on-field results are for Texas are a lot better than some of the recruiting rivals out there, right? If Texas is, 11-1 going into National Signing Day, then all right, that bodes well for Texas, maybe getting a couple of flips. If A&M or Oklahoma or LSU or insert school here that is taking some of these players away from Texas, if they're 6-6, 7-5, 8-4, whatever, then there's a chance that some of these recruits are like, you know what, I want to be a part of what's going on in Austin. I want to be a part of a team that is competing for conference and national championships. I want to play in these playoffs. I want to get developed. I want to be a part of Steve Sarkisian's Texas instead of going somewhere else. So just because someone commits to a different school, it's an important reminder, easy for me to say, that pen doesn't go to paper until we get to December. Some of these guys will continue to be recruited by Texas. They are going to go till the whistle. But just brace yourself, Texas fans. These next 2 days may hurt. You may go 0 for 4. Hey, if you get 1, you take it. If you get 2, obviously that's great. Anything more than that, icing on the cake, a cherry on top, then you feel like Texas is really putting something special together. And I'd change my tune about Texas only being a top 5 class. I'd say, no, they're on their way to being number 1 again in America. But again, brace yourselves. These next couple of days might hurt. You might get 4 bits of news about 4 top targets going elsewhere. But I'm here to tell you that better days are coming. Just trust me on that. All right, we'll take your thoughts. Comment below. Are you more confident than I am? Do you think Texas is in a better spot to land these 4 players than I do? Obviously, we'll talk about Xavier Crowell's decision on tomorrow's show because he announces it tonight. And if we have any news that drops during the day tomorrow, we'll be reacting to it on a Friday show. Let's shift gears here, shall we? Steve Sarkisian recently sat down with a number of former Texas players on the Third and Longhorn podcast. What did Sark have to say about the 2025 Longhorns in the big Week 1 matchup against Ohio State? We've got some sound from the head coach coming up next right here on Locked On Longhorns. But first, a word for our friends at Monarch Money. You ever wish managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can be. Whether you're growing your savings or planning for a big purchase, maybe a house, maybe a car, maybe both, Monarch Money puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full control and visibility over all of your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, all of your investments, all of your credit cards, all of your spending in one place. So instead of just managing your money, you can actually focus on building wealth to make sure those big purchases don't really feel like big purchases. The convenience is the best part with Monarch Money. I used to have 8 different budgeting apps, investments, crypto, credit cards, all of my bank accounts. It was all jumbled in a bunch of different spots. With Monarch Money, it's all there in one place. So it's never been easier for me to track my finances, and it can do the same for you. Take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Again, monarchmoney.com is the website. Locked On College is the promo code, and you are going to get half off your first year from our friends at Monarch Money. All right, welcome back to Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. We've got some sound from the head coach. We haven't heard from Steve Sarkisian in a while. Obviously, we are deep in the heart of the offseason, so there aren't any press conferences or media availabilities happening these days. We will hear from Sark again at SEC Media Days next month, and look, I'm sure he'll appear on another show or podcast between now and then. So we'll have some stuff for you. But, hey, we always love when we get to hear from the head coach, especially in the middle of the offseason. Steve Sarkisian sat down with a number of lifetime Longhorns on the Third and Longhorn podcast. Great interview. Encourage y'all to check it out after you're done watching this episode. It's about 45 minutes long. We can't play the whole thing here, of course, but I cut up a few of my favorite parts of Steve Sarkisian's interview, and we will start with this one. Sark talking about the full culture turnaround at Texas. We know the situation he walked into, and we know how bad year one was, right? Steve Sarkisian went 5-7. Texas had its longest losing streak in more than half a century. Things were really, really bad. Here's Sark talking about not only on the field, but off the field as well, Texas completely turning the culture around.
I'm not just a football coach. I'm a developer of young men, you know. And so we went back to that team GPA the spring going into that season. CDC gave me my cumulative team GPA. I was only here for the spring, but you took fall and spring was a 2.33. That's not very good. Granted, UT, phenomenal place, top 5 public school, but we go 5-7 that year. We had 0 players drafted. And I remember going to the staff saying, we have a culture problem. I said, we have entitled players who don't take accountability, who are selfish, who don't serve others, couldn't care less about the university itself. They're just focused on me, I. I said, we've got to change the culture, and we have to start from an individual standpoint that everything matters. Everything counts here. School's going to matter. Well, the next spring we had a 2.78 team GPA.
Man.
We go 8-5. We have 5 guys drafted. The next year, we have a 2.98 team GPA. We go 12-2. We win the Big 12. We go to the CFP. We set a school record. 11 guys drafted, 2 first-rounders.
Wow.
Going into this past season, we had a 3.27 team GPA. We go 13-3. We're in the SEC championship game. We have 12 guys drafted, 3 first-rounders. At the end of this past spring, we have a 3.31 team GPA. So it's like amazing how our wins have increased, our draft picks have increased, but our GPA's gone up. And so with this whole idea, who you are some of the time is who you are all the time. We don't pick and choose when I'm a Longhorn. It's an all the time thing.
Pretty cool there from Steve Sarkisian, right? Talking about not only the on-field results improving during his 4 years in Austin, but also the off-the-field results improving in the team GPA. Boy, how about a 2.3, which is what Steve Sarkisian walked into? Did Tom Herman staff care at all about school? I know they were here to coach football, but my goodness, do they even make the kids or ask the kids to go to class? That's tough. And you think you got the walk-ons on the team with like 3 8s who are bringing up the overall GPA. Even with those guys, you've got a team GPA that's just above 2. That means there were some pretty bad students. And, man, Steve Sarkisian didn't pull any punches. He took some shots at the culture, and he took some shots at the players on that 2021 Texas team, saying that they were selfish. They only cared about themselves. They didn't really buy into the program. And that happens with the coaching change, right? Who's this new guy? He didn't recruit me. I don't like what he's saying. I like the old way. We get it. But, man, thank God Sark stayed the course and kept doing what he believed in. And slowly but surely, it's gotten Texas back to where we all want Texas to be. Hopefully, the team has like a 3-5 this year and wins a national championship. Hopefully, the results keep going in that positive direction. So that was cut number one. We've got two more for this segment. Here's Steve Sarkisian talking about the 2025 team. Obviously, Texas, a lot to replace. 12 guys drafted this past year. We all know there will be a lot of new faces in the starting lineup for the Longhorns this coming season. Here's Sark talking about the challenges of that, but also the expectations for this year's team.
You've got to be mentally prepared to play as much as you have to be physically prepared to play. And I thought our guys did that. So moving forward, no different, no different. I think we have new challenges this year that we didn't have a year ago. We're going to be the most traveled team in the SEC this year. We're going to travel almost 10,000 miles this year, where I think, Georgia, Ole Miss, those guys are traveling like 1,200 miles, So the idea that we're going to Ohio State, we're going to Georgia, we're going to Florida, you could argue 3 of the top 5 most hostile environments in the country that we're going to get to play in. And I say get to, and I mean that because this team has got to form its own identity. And we've been a very good road team now for the past 3 years or so. And those moments are what are going to help us in December and January when you get into those environments. Having the ability to play in those arenas against those teams and perform well is going to infuse a ton of confidence in this team if we can do it the right way.
So there's Sark again talking about challenges with this schedule. Texas having a lot of miles they've got to travel this year. And obviously playing in some very tough road environments. I mean, Ohio State and Georgia have combined to win 3 of the last 4 national championships in this sport. Florida hasn't been Florida recently, but, that's early enough in the season to where I feel like that fan base is still going to be checked in. And, the Gators haven't hosted Texas since like pre-World War II. So they're going to be chomping at the bit, no pun intended, to welcome the burnt orange and white into the swamp. So some big road games, some hostile environments, and it will put Texas's road win streak to the test. Texas has the longest active true road winning streak in college football. The Longhorns haven't lost a true road game since 2022, October of 2022, when they lost to Oklahoma State and Stillwater. Think about how much has changed with Texas football since then. Think about how much has changed in college football since then. 11 straight true road game wins for Texas. You got to go all the way back to, that 2022 season to find the last time Texas lost on the road. If they could keep that streak alive through the entirety of this season, they'll be ready to go for the postseason. Now, they won't need to play any road games in the postseason if they're running the table on the road this year. That's obviously very telling about, Texas as a program and where they're at. And everyone talks about business trips. Those would be business trips if you can go win those games. So there's Sark, again, talking about challenges, talking about expectations, but he's obviously looking forward to those opportunities to play in those hostile road environments. Speaking of hostile road environments, Sark was asked, kind of about the Ohio State game. How do you balance just instilling your game plan and getting ready for a season versus getting ready for that game against the defending champs on the road, trying to get some revenge for what happened at the Cotton Bowl in the college football playoff? Here's Sark, a little bit of a shorter clip talking about his team's week 1 matchup against the Buckeyes.
Start getting ready for Ohio State, and it's going to be a heck of a challenge. They're a great team. They've got a lot of great players coming back. They'll have a ton of confidence. It's a tough place to play, but we'll be ready and we'll be motivated. And then, like I said, I think in this day and age of the 12-team playoff, I surely hope the committee doesn't punish either of the teams that play in that game for playing that game, right? Because there's a lot of teams that avoid these games, and we're playing in the game. It should be a heck of a game. But I do think it can help springboard us for some bigger matchups that we have coming down the road.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I hope that's not Sark making an excuse like, oh, we're not that confident. We think we're going to lose, and hopefully the committee doesn't hold that against us. I don't think it is. Look, he's right. I mean, you know how people overreact to the first game of any season in any sport. So the loser of that game, it's going to be, oh, they're not that good. And if Texas loses that game, it's, oh, Arch isn't very good. And, oh, Texas can't win the big one and Sark can't win the big one. And it's cool they could beat up on bad teams, but when they have to play anybody good, they lose. Like, there's going to be a lot that comes from that first game. But as Sark said, the beauty of the 12-team playoff, your season's not done when you lose in week 1. Hell, Ohio State lost its last regular season game and won the national championship. So you can lose in week 12. You can lose in week 13 and still win a national championship with the expanded playoff. So hopefully Texas wins for a million different reasons. Would love to get some revenge and win on the road at Ohio State's place and spoil their banner ceremony. That would all be fantastic. What a way to start the Arch Manning era at Texas. But even if they don't win, still plenty of opportunities for Texas to achieve every goal that they have in front of them here for the 2025 season. So again, a few clips from Sark's interview with Third and Longhorn. It's a great conversation if you want to check it out. But those were some of my favorite clips, and maybe we'll have some more on tomorrow's show as well. We've got one segment left on today's program. Let's talk a little basketball. Tre Johnson is headed to our nation's capital. We'll talk about what Tre will bring the Washington Wizards, and I'll tell you why I believe he's got a very good chance to win Rookie of the Year this coming season. That's next, right here on Locked On Longhorns. But first, guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rouette Ready. Rouette Ready is the next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost your blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that takes hours, Rougette's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average 15 minutes, and the effects can last up to 36 hours. So you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rouette might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. It's completely online. You can meet with a board-certified doctor and get everything you need right there. Head over to Rouette.com/LockedOnCollege and use the promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off today. Again, Rouette, that's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege. Use the promo code LockedOnCollege for 50% off with our friends at Rouette Ready. All right, welcome back to Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. The first round of the NBA draft went down last night. Round 2 is tonight for those of you who care. But if you're a Texas fan, what you needed to see went down last night. Tre Johnson didn't have to wait very long to hear his name called by NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. Tre was the 6th overall pick, and he's headed to the Washington Wizards. This is about where he was expected to go. We talked about it yesterday. It felt like anywhere in the 3 to 8 range was a possibility. Kind of split the difference by going 6th. So, first of all, what do I think of the fit for Tre Johnson? No, not that fit. Not that fit for Tre Johnson. You know what? Let's talk about this for a second here before we talk about the team fit. Tre Johnson needs to use his first paycheck to pay for a stylist or somebody who's going to dress him better than what he was wearing last night. I mean, this is ridiculous. The top half is great. A double-breasted suit, nice white shirt, you got the black tie, clean look. But the shorts, what are we doing here, Tre? What are we doing, man? Maybe he's paying homage to TJ Ford and the baggy shorts look that he had coming out of Texas. I don't know how to explain this one, man. Whoever let Tre Johnson wear this yesterday, man, Tre, you need better people around you, my friend. I love you. I'm rooting for you. But this, I'll tell you what, if Tre Johnson wanted people talking about him, he got it done, because this was one of the most viral things that happened in the NBA draft last night. He wasn't going to be the number 1 pick, middle of the top 10. Not everybody in that range gets talked about. Tre Johnson ensured that he was going to get talked about with this fit, the high white socks, the black penny loafer. It's not what I would wear if I was getting drafted into the NBA or if I was really going out in public anywhere. But we don't need to talk anymore about that. I'd love to hear from y'all in the comments below. What did you make of Tre Johnson's fit at Barclays Center in Brooklyn last night? Let's talk about the actual team fit. The Wizards are bad. If you're a basketball fan, I'm not breaking any news to you. The Wizards are really bad. They haven't made the playoffs since 2021. They haven't won a playoff series since 2017. They haven't been past the second round of the playoffs since they were the Bullets You got to go all the way back to 1979, the last time the Washington NBA team played in a conference final. Forget an NBA final or winning a championship. You got to go back to the 70s for the last time they won 2 rounds in a single postseason. The Wizards have won a total of 33 games the last 2 years. So he's probably not going to win a lot there, especially early on. And we know how competitive Tre is. Like, he hates losing. He wears his emotions on his sleeve. And we see, or at least we saw, the frustration during his one season at Texas when things weren't going well. So this will undoubtedly be a test of that. He's a competitor. He wants to win. That's great. But he's got to keep his cool when the Wizards inevitably lose 50-plus games next season. Now, here's the good news. Trey Johnson's going to play, and he's going to play a lot. And he'll get opportunities to shoot, which means he'll get opportunities to put up numbers, which for me makes him one of the front runners for Rookie of the Year. And I'm not alone. Our friends at FanDuel have Tre Johnson with the best odds to win Rookie of the Year of anybody not named Cooper Flagg. So Cooper Flagg, of course, the number 1 pick to the Mavericks. Understandably, he has the best odds to win Rookie of the Year. But Tre Johnson is second at plus 650, in part because he's really good, but I think in large part because FanDuel's like, you know what? Bad team, he's going to get the play. Even on bad teams, somebody has to score. Tre Johnson, I think, is going to score. And the Wizards ranked 27th in the NBA last year in points per game. So they need buckets. Tre Johnson gets you buckets. I also saw that the over-under for points per game for Tre's rookie season is at 14.5. I would take the over on that. So, look, the bad news, the Wizards are the Wizards. Like, can you guys name anybody on that team? Jordan Poole was their leading scorer last year. They traded him. They've got Kyle Kuzma still there, I think, but they're bad. And they're probably going to be one of the worst teams again next year. Even if Tre Johnson wins Rookie of the Year, I don't see the Wizards winning more than 30 games. And that might be overly optimistic. Hell, that'd be twice as many as they won this season. So we'll see. Wizards fans love the pick, at least from what I've seen, and they've got some good young pieces. Alex Sarr went number 2 overall in last year's draft of Washington, averaged 13 a game as a rookie. Bub Carrington was their other first-round pick. He averaged 10-5 last season. He was a second-team all-rookie player, solid point guard. So, Carrington and Tre Johnson might be your backcourt of the future in D.C. So it seems like he's a good fit. Look, anybody who could play is a good fit for Washington. They are so bereft of talent that they just need all the help that they can get. But again, I like the fact that Tre is going to a place where he can play right away. He's going to get every opportunity to contribute early on. And if he's as good as Wizards fans hope, maybe he could be the guy who spearheads the turnaround in our nation's capital. They've had good players. John Wall, Bradley Beal. I don't know if Tre Johnson's as good as either of those guys, but if he is, the Wizards might be relevant before you know it. And pulling for Tre Johnson, the 10th lottery pick in school history, the first since Jackson Hayes back in 2019. So could have been worse. Again, it's an okay fit, but man, the Wizards are not good. So unfortunately, I think Tre's going to be doing a lot of losing, at least in his rookie season. That's going to do it for today's show. If you made it this far, number 1, thank you. Number 2, please remember to like, subscribe, rate 5 stars, share, leave a comment, all of those great things. We really do appreciate y'all making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Portal Show. Brian Smith, my man, good dude. He's got all of the latest portal news, and he's talking plenty of recruiting. So you can be the most informed college football fan wherever you are. Find the portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. More Texas football recruiting, maybe some more Steve Sarkisian sound, and who knows? Never a dull moment on the 40 acres. We got you covered on tomorrow's show, just like we do every single day. That's going to do it for today. Until next time, horns up, mics off. We'll see y'all soon. This is Locked On Longhorns.